From conception to execution and from the office to the field, the good governance and finance integrity for Africa that was launched since 2014 has gathered momentum as the local communities whose persons were ignorant of their rights are sensitized through workshops with regards to reducing emission from deforestation and degradation plus sustainable development, RED+, by the Transparency International Cameroon boss in order to arm them so that their voices could be heard when crying.
This idea came about when we launched the project in 2014, RED+ Governance and Finance Integrity for Africa. By working with focal point in the regions, we realized that the issue of communities was the issue of concern. So we decided to conduct a whole study on how to build rights for communities with regard to RED+. And one of the issues that came out was the various rights the communities have or should have with regard to RED+. And among those rights, we have the right to have access to information. They need to be informed about this process because they are concerned about the project and they are meant to participate. Talking of participation is also a right for them. They have a right to participation. If they are consulted and there is a project, they should be included in the development of those projects. And one of the aspects is also the right to justice. You know that communities sometimes they don't have voices and they don't know where to complain, to go and file their complaint. So there should be grievance mechanisms that allow them to voice out their complaints and find solutions to them. And that is why we organize these specific community meetings. Here we are in the southwest, in Boya, in Bonakanda community. We will go in Bukwango tomorrow.
The natives of Bonakanda and Bukwango of Boya in the southwest region of Cameroon are lectured on the RED+ mechanism.
That ecotourism they go fine, village to village, across the mountain slope. So this time the people concerned, they don't make a train way out.
Which is a tool used in combating climate change, adaptation and mutilation.
RED+ is a mechanism, it is a program, it is a process that has been put in place globally at the level of the United Nations Environment Program, but at the level of the United Nations to implement the Framework Convention on Climate Change. So RED+, how we can have sustainable development and yet protect our forests, how we can have stable climates, how we can have sustainable development.
The villagers were made to understand that everyone is partaker in the fight against climate change. The reason why they are urged to use the forest sustainably, since only the trees can keep carbon, which is the main cause of the change.
Because RED involves everybody, so the way the program is being developed, it goes right down to the villages. It's looking at local communities, it's looking at indigenous people. Here we're talking of the Pakas, the Bururos, and other indigenous communities. And the whole idea is that if we can use our forests sustainably, if we can preserve some of our forests, then since the tree is the only thing that is able to sequestrate carbon, which is what is causing the climate change. So if we can succeed, to have enough trees at the level of the tropics, then the whole global climate change challenge will be answered. So the mechanism has been put in place.
The FIPIC tool that is globally laid down, explaining the rights of the local communities, was not left out.
FPIC stands for Free Prior Informed Consent. What does it mean? It's a tool that helps to promote community rights related to Red Plus. Free means Red Plus should be done. Community should be freely involved in the process, and they should freely decide on either to engage or not without being manipulated. Prior means that they should leave the community the freedom in the decision-making process. So it means that the community should sit together and say, do we really want to get involved in this process after observing all the necessary criteria around that specific project. Informed means in case they are not satisfied with the information they have, they should request for additional information and say we need additional information to make up our mind about what we decide to do. And the consent then bring everybody at the level of the community by saying consent means community accepting as a whole community, not only individual, to go into this project. And consent means community sitting with governments to accept to work together to develop a Red Cross project that will be beneficial for the community and for the country as a whole.
The government members, like the conservator of the Mount Cameroon Park, working with the local communities, applaud such training as the people are already feeling the impact of climate change.
Activities that are being implemented in the national park, within the communities of the national park, activities that are aimed at ensuring that they use less land to produce even more for their home consumption as well as for marketing. So this project, the workshop today, organized by Transparency International with the coordination of people as Earthwise, I think it's a good opportunity because communities, Mount Cameroon National Park communities like Bonakanda, whatever, participated, and they could see exactly what we've been doing with them, how we've been facilitating, how we've been sensitizing on their different activities, especially activities related to agroforestry development, activities related to planting of trees, activities related to the use of prunos management could contribute directly to reducing greenhouse gases and therefore contributing directly to the fight against climate change. So we can say directly what we are doing with the communities presently in most of the villages. They are aware because they already are witnesses to some of the ills of environmental destruction. Some of these communities already see their water sources being polluted. Some of them see their drinking spots drying up, and they know that it is as a result of the misuse of our vegetation, our environment. So this training today has really reawakened their interest to ensure that we participatively fight against.
Increasing the bee population that maintains the natural biodiversity is considered as a perfect way to tackle climate change, as trees are not cut down.
During this time of climate change, we thought it wise that we should step up the bee population so that it could support, directly or indirectly, to see that more plants are being supported. We identified, after carrying out a research, the plants that could give nectar and pollen for the bees, because most of the plants has been chopped down through exploitation. So I don't want to go into details to know who did what, but if you look at our forest, it's gone. So if we don't reserve more plants within our environment, then there will be no bees, no honey, and no bees, no life.
Countries of the South that will succeed in conserving carbon in the trees will benefit from the money made available by those of the North, since values will be given to standing volumes of the resources.
With countries of the North putting money at the disposal of countries of the South, of the tropical belt, who, on the basis of their efforts to reduce emissions from deforestation and degradation at the level of whole regions, at the level of the nation, what effort has been made, how much carbon has been sequestrated, how much, that's why we start talking about the carbon market. So people now, on the basis of the amount of effort that we have made, then we can get funding. So we are giving now a value to standing volumes of trees.
The sensitization campaign done by Transparency International Cameroon is not only taking place in the Southwest region, but in other parts of the country.
In other regions of Cameroon, we have also been organizing other community meetings, like in the East regions, where we are meeting 3 communities. In the South region, we are also sensitizing 3 communities. And as we are in Boya now, there is a colleague of mine in Edea working with 2 other communities to tell them about their rights.
The population was also sensitized through radio programs.
We program schedule today as we get visitors for Bunakanda here and for Southwest in particular, where they come for tell we story about the environment.
Cameroon is a signatory to the Framework Convention on Climate Change that has globally been put in place.